America calls itself a nation of immigrants, a place where anyone can belong. For millions, becoming a U.S. citizen is a hard-won dream come true. But lately, headlines warn that even citizenship can feel uncertain. The government is reviewing old cases, making some wonder if their rights could be taken away. For many, travel now comes with anxiety. Will I be allowed back in? Is my citizenship truly secure? Denaturalization is when the U.S. government revokes citizenship from someone who was naturalized, usually for fraud or misrepresentation. It's rare, but recent years have seen more cases as agencies review old records. This shift has made many naturalized citizens anxious about their status and future in America. Becoming a U.S. citizen feels like crossing a finish line. But citizenship is more like signing a contract, with terms and conditions in the fine print. If you lied or hid something important, the government can take it all back. Denaturalization. It's a rare, unsettling process, undoing what you thought was permanent. Denaturalization isn't just a letter in the mail. It's a serious legal process in federal court. It starts when agencies like USCIS or ICE flag a case, often using modern technology to find inconsistencies. The Department of Justice files a lawsuit, and you must defend yourself, without guaranteed legal help. If the judge rules against you, your citizenship is revoked and deportation usually follows. It's not just losing a passport, it's losing your home. When you hear about a government crackdown, it's natural to worry. But these investigations aren't random. The government targets people who committed serious fraud or hid major crimes, like using fake identities or lying about criminal history. If you are honest on your application, you have nothing to fear. The vast majority of naturalized citizens are not at risk. When the Trump administration took office, it brought a new intensity to immigration enforcement, not just at the border, but deep into the country. Denaturalization, once rare, became a regular tool. Naturalized citizens felt the promise of belonging was suddenly conditional. The government shifted from passive gatekeeper to active investigator, making many people anxious about their place in America. Operation Janus, launched by USCIS, aimed to digitize old fingerprint records and uncover identity discrepancies among naturalized citizens. The digital dragnet flagged hundreds of thousands for review, sparking concern among civil rights groups about mistaken identities and legal battles. The effort expanded as Operation Second Look, deepening fear and uncertainty in immigrant communities nationwide. If Operation Janus was the weapon, the new Denaturalization Task Force was the army created to wield it. In 2018, USCIS announced the creation of a new office in Los Angeles, dedicated entirely to identifying cases for denaturalization. This wasn't just a few agents working on it part-time, it was a team of dozens of lawyers and immigration officers whose sole job was to sift through the leads generated by Janus and other investigations. The establishment of a physical office with a dedicated staff sent a very clear message. The administration was investing serious money and manpower into this effort. It institutionalized the process, turning it from an occasional project into a permanent bureaucratic function of the immigration system. The mission of this task force was straightforward: find people who, in the government's eyes, shouldn't be citizens, and get their cases to the Department of Justice. This formalized the pipeline from investigation to prosecution. USCIS agents would build the case file, and if it looked strong enough, they would hand it over to the DOJ's lawyers to take it to court. This streamlined process was designed for efficiency, aiming to increase the number of denaturalization lawsuits filed each year. Officials stated the goal was to uphold the law and ensure the integrity of the citizenship process, but critics saw it as an unnerving piece of government machinery built specifically to strip people of their rights. The creation of this task force was significant because it signaled a long-term commitment to this strategy. It wasn't just a temporary initiative that would fade away. By creating a new office and hiring staff, the administration was embedding denaturalization enforcement deep within the government structure. This move was heavily criticized by immigration lawyers and advocacy groups, who who argued it was a wasteful use of taxpayer money that could be better spent on processing the massive backlog of legitimate immigration applications. They warned that it would inevitably lead to a climate of fear, making naturalized citizens feel like they had a second-class, probationary form of citizenship that could be reviewed and revoked at any time. This focus on enforcement also had a chilling effect that went beyond the individuals who were actually investigated. The very existence of a denaturalization task force was enough to cause widespread anxiety. It made people worry that any interaction with the government could trigger a review of their file. Naturalized citizens who might have needed to update their records, replace a lost naturalization certificate, or apply for a passport suddenly felt hesitant, fearing that doing so would invite unwanted scrutiny. In this way, the administration's approach didn't just target a few hundred people for legal action. It created a shadow of doubt that fell over millions of law-abiding citizens. With all the talk of digital dragnets, it's easy to imagine mass denaturalizations. But the numbers tell a different story. Even at its peak, only a tiny fraction of naturalized citizens were targeted, dozens out of millions. The risk, while real for some, remained vanishingly small for almost everyone. It's like hearing about a shark far offshore. Scary, but unlikely to affect you. The lawsuits weren't about minor mistakes. Most cases targeted people accused of serious, deliberate fraud, like using false identities, hiding criminal records, or entering sham marriages. The government focused on those who willfully concealed facts that would have made them ineligible for citizenship, not the average law-abiding immigrant. Numbers and statistics can't capture the real terror of a denaturalization lawsuit. For those targeted, it's a life-shattering ordeal. Imagine living in the US for decades, only to be told you might lose your citizenship and be deported. Baljinder Singh, a man from India, became a citizen in 2006, but was later accused of using a different name decades earlier. In 2017, he was among the first denaturalized under the new push, a sudden, devastating end to his American life. These cases are emotionally and financially ruinous. Defendants aren't entitled to a court-appointed lawyer, so they must pay out of pocket, often draining life savings. Many targeted are everyday people: truck drivers, small business owners, retirees. They risk losing not just citizenship, but homes, jobs, and family ties. Mian Zahid, a Pakistani immigrant and truck driver, was accused of faking a marriage. He denied it, but spent years and his savings fighting to keep his citizenship. The process itself is punishing: years of anxiety, uncertainty, and financial strain, even if you win in court. The power imbalance is stark. The government's vast resources versus individuals with limited means, often facing language barriers. These aren't just case files, they're lives upended. The fear in immigrant communities is real and deeply felt. Stories like Baljinder's and Mian's remind us what's truly at stake. For many naturalized citizens, travel became a source of deep anxiety during the denaturalization push. Not about the trip, but about coming home. The question, if I use my US passport to leave, will I be allowed back in? The fear wasn't just inconvenience at customs, but being stranded, locked out of the country you call home. If the government is investigating your past, the border becomes a point of vulnerability. A flag on your file could mean intense questioning or even having your passport confiscated. This fear led some to cancel trips, miss family milestones, or avoid travel altogether. The anxiety wasn't about thousands being denied entry, but the chilling possibility that it could happen. The sense of security a US passport is supposed to provide was, for some, replaced by fear and uncertainty. For many, the journey home became a moment of high-stakes suspense. The fear of being denied re-entry is real, but let's separate fact from fiction. Legally, an American citizen cannot be denied entry. Only a federal judge can revoke citizenship, not a border agent. The idea of a CBP officer confiscating your passport and sending you away is mostly myth. However, if your file is flagged, you could face lengthy, stressful questioning, secondary inspection, where officers probe your background and search your devices. This can be intimidating, but it's not the same as being barred from entry. In rare cases, if a denaturalization lawsuit is already filed, your passport could be revoked while abroad, creating a bureaucratic nightmare. For most, the risk is not denial of entry, but heightened scrutiny and delays. The real distinction: you might be hassled, but not locked out. The door home remains open, but with a tough security check. Understanding this difference is key to assessing the real risks of travel. The border is a unique legal zone where government authority is at its peak. CBP officers can search your belongings and question you extensively, even as a U.S. citizen, without a warrant. If your file is flagged, you'll likely face secondary inspection, where officers gather information for ongoing investigations. You're not on trial, but you are being interviewed, often tired, without a lawyer, and under stress. Refusing to answer can mean longer delays and more suspicion, even though you can't be denied entry. The border is a choke point the government uses to collect evidence for potential denaturalization cases. The real risk isn't exile, but a grueling encounter that could have legal consequences later. Legal experts advise: be truthful but cautious. Know your rights. Have your lawyer's contact info handy. Your passport will get you home, but the process may be far from easy. Preparation is your best defense. Let's get practical. If you're a naturalized citizen, preparation is key before traveling. Start by reviewing your entire immigration history for inconsistencies, different names, dates, or any legal issues you may have forgotten. If you're unsure, request your immigration file from USCIS with a FOIA request. This lets you see exactly what the government sees. Reviewing your file can give peace of mind or alert you to potential problems. If you spot anything concerning, consult an experienced immigration lawyer, not internet forums or friends. A lawyer can tell you if an issue is minor or serious and advise on next steps. Sometimes it's best to delay travel until you're sure. Getting professional advice before you leave is the smartest move. Think of it as a checkup before a big journey. Better safe than sorry. Preparation turns anxiety into confidence for your trip. Before you travel, prepare a just-in-case folder with your passport, certificate of naturalization, and copies of key documents like your driver's license and a utility bill. Save an immigration lawyer's contact in your phone and on paper. Carry a Know Your Rights card for confidence at the border. This kit is your travel armor. Hopefully you'll never need it, but you'll feel better knowing you have it. The plane has landed. You're back on U.S. soil. Now comes the final step: customs. For most, it's routine, but if you're sent to secondary inspection, stay calm and know your rights. As a U.S. citizen, they cannot deny you entry. Be polite, firm, and aware of your rights. You can ask for a lawyer and refuse device searches. Be calm, be patient, and travel with confidence. After all the headlines and fear, here's the truth. For the vast majority of naturalized U.S. citizens, it is safe to travel. The government's denaturalization push was real, but targeted at a tiny group with serious fraud. Your citizenship is strong, your passport powerful. Be prepared, know your rights, and don't let fear stop you from seeing the world. The entire saga of increased denaturalization efforts touches on a deeper, more fundamental question. What does it mean to be an American citizen? Is it a permanent, unbreakable bond? Or is it a conditional status that can be reviewed and revoked? The very idea of a denaturalization task force can make citizenship feel like a probationary period that never truly ends. It creates a subtle but corrosive division between those who were born with citizenship and those who earned it, suggesting that one is more authentic, more secure than the other. This is a dangerous and deeply un-American idea. Naturalized citizens are not second-class citizens, period. When you take the oath of allegiance, you become as much of an American as someone whose family arrived on the Mayflower. You are entitled to all the same rights, protections, and privileges. You are also subject to all the same laws and responsibilities. The process of denaturalization was never intended to be a tool for mass enforcement or to create a permanent state of anxiety. It was designed as a narrow remedy for extraordinary cases of profound deception. The shift toward using it more broadly, even if the numbers remained small, threatened to undermine the very promise of American citizenship as a secure and final status. It's a promise that is vital to the health of a nation built by immigrants. Moving forward, it's important to remain vigilant. The policies of one administration can be changed by the next, but the bureaucratic machinery, once built, can be easily switched back on. This is why advocacy and awareness are so crucial. Protecting the rights of naturalized citizens means ensuring that denaturalization returns to being the rare, last resort tool it was always meant to be. It means pushing for an immigration system that is fair, efficient, and humane. One that focuses its resources on welcoming new Americans, not on hunting for reasons to expel those who have already built their lives here. The goal should be to strengthen the meaning of citizenship, not to weaken it. In the end, the story of denaturalization in recent years is a cautionary tale. It shows how rhetoric and policy can create widespread fear, even when the direct impact is limited. But it also serves as a powerful reminder of the resilience of the system and the strength of the citizenship bond. For any naturalized citizen reading this, know that your place in the American family is secure. You earned it. You belong here. And you should never have to feel that your home has an asterisk attached. Your citizenship is not on probation. It is a permanent and vital part of the fabric of this nation. Now go pack your bags.